it is officially spring, but we do have snow on the ground. I did take my snow tires off. I wanted to take a few minutes here and give you guys some updates on these. These are the General Altimax Arctic 12s. These are the new Altimax Arctics that are replacing the outgoing model that were simply called the Altimax Arctic. If you guys hear any noise in the background, just ignore it. Kind of outside in the garage here, or outside the garage, and doing this just in front of the car here so you can get an idea of what we have going on here. But I have about 5,000 miles roughly on this set of four tires here, and they were on for about 4 months. I drove these in about every condition imaginable for a Midwest winter, from warm, dry pavement around the 45 degree, 50 degree mark some days when it got warmer, down to fresh snow, thick powder, slush and ice, hard packed snow, a lot of off-road driving. Took it out to the mud, like some mud I probably shouldn't have been in, and almost got it stuck, but didn't, luckily. So about every condition imaginable for this tire to be in, at least for this season. So I will note that these are a 225 70 R16. I have had a set of Altimax Arctics before, but it was not on this 2015 Forester. In fact, it was on a older 2007 WRX. So it's not a true apples to apples comparison, and the weights are different. So while I do have some anecdotal points to make in comparison to the older model, I should absolutely note that the older model is, again, not an apples to apples comparison, not the same weight, different sizes, different widths, and all that jazz. So I do want to make that note. But with that said, sorry for the long intro. Long story short, I really do like these tires. They were great this winter. The cost to value ratio, or how much you're spending on these, is really good. I've been a fan of the General tires for the cost to value for a while now, and that's really why I got into the Arctics originally. I did have a set of Grabber AT2s on these wheels when I replaced them, and after the first season they didn't do too well in the snow, so I really wanted to go back to a dedicated snow tire. So curious to see how well these worked. They were great. They worked really well on a hard packed snow, light snow, slush, even concrete. I even had to hit the anti-lock brakes at one point when I was on some warmer, kind of maybe a little bit wet concrete. They performed great. I've had no complaints with them. I would say that they met and exceeded my expectations for them, and I would totally buy these again, and I would absolutely recommend them to anyone who's looking to get a dedicated set of snow tires. With that being said, the only thing I didn't like, and I didn't feel they do as well as some of the previous snow tires I have driven, as well as the previous models. You may remember from the last video, and if you've looked at these tires, they've upgraded the track, or the tread. There's a different pattern, so they're not quite as open anymore. They've closed it up a bit, and you have more tread, and I would say less gap. That's kind of the big difference with these new tires. Other than a few other little things, the tread is kind of the big one, and that's really, I think, the biggest concern for most people was to see how well they would perform compared to the old models, because a lot of people, including myself, especially like a lot of rally car drivers, or rally cross drivers rather, like the old model, as did I. So with that said, I do not feel like they did as well in deep packed, not packed, but deep snow, like fresh powder and deep snow, as the older model. I think that's the only time and only place I was really left hoping for more. I was hoping that I could get a bit more traction, and while it is deep, powdery snow, I feel like the old model may have outperformed it a bit better. Again, I'm not doing an apples to apples comparison, but it did far better on every surface area than I expected it would, other than the deep snow. So that's my only note on these. Again, I like them a lot. I like them for how much you spend on them. They're really not an expensive tire. About 5,000 miles on these again in about 4 months. So I'm going to continue to use them, and again, I would recommend them, and I will buy them again if I need to. We'll see how long these last. I'm hoping to get at least a few seasons out of them. But again, I wish they would have done a little bit better on the deep pack snow, but that's just a really kind of minor note and light complaint. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Give me a holler.